Hi there. Thanks for dropping by. Actually, I hope you're glad you did when you see what's going on here today. We're going to have lots of to look at. And I hope you have a tea or coffee with you and just sit back and relax and enjoy what's going on. So, um, my fellow guild member Marlene and I were talking one day, and she had seen this cute little site about mini art quilts. And not a miniature quilt, because a miniature quilt is one that's exact replica of a large size quilt, but cut down to size according to the dimensions. This is a mini quilt, meaning it can be up to 27 by 27 in that area. So when you think of it, really, if you do quilting on placemats, pot holders, table centerpieces, they could all be mini quilts. So a small wall hanging is certainly a mini quilt. And I thought that sounded interesting and cute. You can do it in a hurry. If you're looking for a gift for someone you generally don't trade gifts with, exchange gifts with, it doesn't take long and it's cute. And you probably have most or all, I imagine, of the supplies in your home and don't have to go out and buy anything. It's all right there. So when she said they were 5 by 7, I thought, okay, let's try a mini quilt. And I sat down and sketched an old fashioned sewing machine, and I found some fabric that um, I could just use. I found fabric that had Singer on it, and I made a little sign for the wall and used a safety pin inside to look like the needle of the sewing machine. And I had a fun time. I used Scribbles glitter glue, and that's what the paint on the machine is for. And by the time I finished it, it's not even big enough to mail out as a postcard. It's a 5 by 6, but it's really cute, and I am going to display it. I'm putting it in the picture frame here now. I might actually leave it in that. I'm not sure, but it's kind of cute. Now for the backing, I just made the backing. I cut it about half-inch larger. No, probably about 3/4 inch larger all the way around. Fold it up to the quilt and fold it again and sew it around the edge so that you have one seam for the backing and it's the back to the front, which is very easy to do. So that was my initial try, and they're like potato chips. Once you make one, you can't stop. They're cute, and you can just use your imagination. And once you get started, you'll think, well, how about just a piece of fruit or a flower or an entire scene? You can just get carried away and do whatever you would like to do with them. But the next one, I went a little more subdued, and I went with this one. I found a picture of a cupcake, and I put some beads on for the sparkles on the frosting and a cherry on top, and just did a little shadow quilting. Now for this one, I made it like an envelope that you pull through, that your front and back are together and batting, and then you pull it through and stitch the top after it's through. And when I stitched the top, I put the little tab on it so it could be hung up. And now that I look at it, if you put Insulbright or like a insulated batting in it, it could be a pot holder. But if I thought it was cute, a child might like it. They could hang it up on their birthday or just hanging in the kitchen because. So it can, as I say, it can be one article, and it's just a cute idea to work with. The next one I looked at and I thought, what about a little road stand? And so I found I had lots of kitchen fabric and that had food on it. So I cut out a few baskets of apples and basket of peppers or something there, and the pumpkins and a for sale sign. And in this one, it's on a painter's canvas, just the thin painter's canvas with the background wrapped around. And on this one, I saw somewhere it was suggested one idea was to put it on a backing and pink the backing, and then just sew as close as possible to the pinking, and then you have your backing material behind that. It's wrapped around and taped at the back. And the next one I went a little bigger again. Actually, it's quite big. And I didn't know whether to use, excuse me, the flowers on the black or the white. So I thought, well, try one of each. So it again is the painter's canvas, only this time it's the thick one. And I did it, you could hang it this way. Now I put some smaller flowers on it because it's going to be hung sideways. If you didn't have these ones to show that it's hung a certain way, then you certainly can put it up and down. But the place I have is below an opening from one room through to the other, and I'm putting it underneath the opening. And I just wanted to try the black and the white, see what would happen. Remember, you're doing this for fun and for enjoyment, so try it. If you don't like it, then turn it into something else. I quilted the background and used heat and bond to apply the flowers. Now, in this case, I happened to buy some fabric, and I thought that's nice because I want black and white, but I wanted it very simple. When I got home, I realized it is the fabric that you paint yourself, and I happen to have fabric paint in the house because we always have fabric markers, I'm sorry, because we always have supplies that we really don't need. But this case, it came in pretty handy, and as you can see, I used the marker on the flower and then put heat and bond and put it to the quilted background. Wrap the background around and just tacked it on the back because nobody's going to see the back, and it's not hurting anything because the tacks are in the background there. So again, you can go from very small, my 5x6 to an 8x20. You decide. It's your work. You decide what you want to do. Now, I happened to find one I had done a number of years ago, and it was the same idea. And in this case, I just had cut pieces of fabric to make it look like a scene, and the fabric fits for each thing. And I had fabric look like water and grass and the mountains and whatnot. So I had it under glass because it looks like an actual picture. And I just brought it out because it's one I had made and didn't even realize that could be classified as a mini quilt. I just thought it was cute and went with it. And could be hung up or stood up. So you have all kinds of ideas. Now, remember, it doesn't have to be cotton. A wall hanging can be made of various fabrics. You can be using different kinds of materials, and you can put netting on it. You're putting embellishments on it, buttons and beads and whatever you have in the house. I'm working with wool, and so it really could be a little wall quilt. And this happens to be a pattern by Darlene Dion of Digby, and it's Miss Eunice. It's 12 pictures, and it's going to make a calendar in the end because it has your 12 months, each one representing, each month is represented by something within that month. For example, July is Canada Day, and in September we have the kids return to school, and Miss Eunice is so happy she's kicking up her feet, and I haven't finished that yet. I used a broken piece of toothpick for the long handle on the door. So, you don't have to buy supplies. They're in your home. You just have to have a little bit of imagination and stretch it to see what's going on. Now, Marlene has all kinds of cute things here. She let me to show. This is adorable. Your white daisies, and this is the fabric is cut out with heat and bond in the back, applique, and the back is quilted. And for the backing, she made two little square corners, and it's a pencil hanging up. So if you don't have a dowel in the house, you probably have a pencil or something that would. And because it's lightweight, there's not going to be any pull on it, or you don't need strength. Isn't that adorable? Another one she made, this is adorable also. Well, they all are. This one is pretty, the pink flowers. And in this one, she followed the YouTube site, Mini Art Flowers. That's where she got the idea. It's a little bigger than the lady had on the on this site, but it's because the larger size is the one she wanted. Remember, when you see somebody make something, it's to get the idea, and you go from there to make it fit your particular needs or wants. They're not needs. This is interesting for the binding. This binding is not sewn on. Remember, there's no pull on these. There's not a lot of give, so they're just going to be hanging there looking pretty. There's no sewing on the binding. It's a piece of fabric, and she pinked the edge, and you put fusible backing on it, iron half to the front, half to the back, and at the top she left a slit on either side so that you can put slide your little dowel up and it would fit in there. So remember, there's no sewing, it's fusible backing, half and half, iron on each side, leave your opening for your dowel, and there you go. Isn't that neat? Now these are cute. These are both on paint canvases with the backing wrapped around and taped to the back. Isn't that adorable? And this one, the fabric, the ocean fabric dictates the picture for sure. Then you know you have to have something, sailboats or some kind of boats on there. And the adorable little birdhouse. These are, again, are paint canvases, the flat ones. And it's been quilted and wrapped around to the back. So you don't always need bindings because they're hanging up, or they're not getting wear and tear. And on the back of each of these, she glued a hanger to put up on the wall. So remember, look for coloring book pages. Maybe the fabric just gives you the idea of what to do, or if you have fabric with something on it, that you cut out the piece of the fabric and glue it from there. Isn't this lovely, and how timely with the Ukraine situation right now? I like this a lot, that the picture centerpiece, she extended out into the border. And when we did borders last month, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I really like when the border is included in the piece. It really is cohesive when you do it that way. And in this one, she has the center darker beige piece, and it's pinked. It's put down first, it's pinked, and just sewn towards the edge, and then you lay your applique pieces on top of that and do your applique. Isn't that adorable? And again, she added a little rope to hang it, and again, that's the outer piece is brought around to the back and taped on the back. This is a gorgeous one. In this one, she has a whole garden, and lots of use of buttons. The center of all the red flowers are buttons. She has buttons in crystal for the purple flowers. Isn't that gorgeous? And this is a painter's canvas, only it's the thick kind, and it has wood around the edge. So it's sturdy, and it's just gorgeous. I thought it was we need flowers right now, and the bright colors and the pretty colors. So I thought that was really lovely. Again, the backing is pulled to the back, and because you have your nice sturdy wood around the edge, you can tack the backing to that, and it's not going to show, and it's not going to affect anything. But that's a lovely one. So they're wall hangings. They're mini quilts, wall hangings, whatever you want to call them. You can make them however you want to. You can use them however you want to. The odd thing is, she also had made a landscape a number of years ago. Not the two of us together. But this is appliqué by hand, and she put it behind the frame also. Isn't that really pretty? And in each one of these cases, it looks like she did the same. She used the fabric that would represent that particular thing, like the birch trees in the sky. And she cut out two tiny little sailboats and put them in the water. So you can make your quilt personalized by using any fabric at all, but the shape of something, or use the fabric that looks like that particular thing. Just go with your intuition and your whatever you want to do. This is a neat one. I love the way it's been displayed. This is from our quilt challenge last year, and it is, she went with Gone with the Wind, and that's all your fall leaves blowing in the wind. And the background really is a good setting for it. It shows that you're outside and the leaves are blowing. Now, look how it's displayed. Isn't that neat? Just the plastic picture frame. Just getting in the way. And after she finished the quilt, she made like a little pillowcase of a thicker material. And I'll attach it to the top of your quilt. And if you want to stand it in the picture frame, you put your pillowcase over. It's really not as hard to do. It's just that I'm a distance from it. You put the pillowcase over the frame, slide it in, and it makes a lovely display. It's standing up by itself. You don't have to worry about hanging it to the wall. I'm making this look like it's hard, and it's not. It's just I'm trying to reach over things here. Anyway, you stand it up, and it displays really nicely. Isn't that lovely? So look at all the different ways that we've hung them up with dowels. We've stood them up with picture frames. For example, here's another picture frame. Of course, I have it hooked all together here. If you have this type, and this again in the dollar store. And if you put your little, I have too much stuff in my way here. Let me set this over for a sec. There we go. If you put it, there we go, a little, so the plate holder at the dollar store is a great little holder. Of course, you might have a little wire hanger like that you want to clip your wall hanging to. Or, of course, and this is what I'm going to use for my Miss Eunice, I'll put one of the hangings for each month and put it on that, and then that'll remind me to change it. Now, for the backing, we were talking about ways you could finish it. Here's another way, and I will set this back. Sorry about the noise. Should have known that would happen. Pretend this is the back of your wall hanging or your mini quilt, and you don't want to tape it or do anything to hurt the fabric through to the front. Cut 2 squares, and they're probably less than half the size. These are fairly large, less than half the size of the the width of the back. Fold it in half again, and your 2 raw edges come with the raw, put towards the raw edge of your quilt. Stitch this in about 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and when you put your binding on, it's enclosed within the binding. Make sure that your opening is right here. With 1 on each side, you slide your dowel in, and away you go. Another way is a triangle. This piece of fabric is too large. Here's a good thing to notice. This piece of fabric is the same as this, and when you fold this up, there's the size that it's going to be. This one, you're going to fold in a triangle, and a triangle again, and look how much larger it looks. So you don't need as big a piece of fabric when you're doing your triangles. So you can stitch it to the top and stitch another one over here. Slide your dowel in, and 1 or 2 stitches will hold it tight at the bottom, and your dowel is up leaning against this anyway. Here we go. So you stitch this along the top. It's within your binding. Now your binding is covering it. Slide your dowel in here and do a hand stitch, 2 or 3 hand stitches. And remember, the weight is not going to be on there anyway. The weight is up here where you have your seam. So that's another way to put a backing on and be able to hang it up. So I hope we gave you a few ideas. Aren't they all cute? Each one is cute in its own way. Some are nice and bright. Some are Some are just adorable. I thought it would be cute to have like a one teddy bear or one particular thing for a child's room. And as I say, make two or three. Maybe make a teddy bear and the next to it a duck or something. Some two or three things that coordinate. And I hope you have lots of fun. And remember, you've got I'm sure you have the supplies somewhere in your home. It's just to think of how to use them and what you can use for each particular thing. Again, this is Scribble's glitter glue. That's kind of cute to have, and the fabric markers. But look at what she did with the buttons and little beads and whatnot. So a lot of embellishment is cute because remember, they're not going to be picked up and handled and used. They're hanging up on a wall, so it's not like a cushion, a pillow cover that you're going to be sitting against and might knock things off. So have fun, and I would love to see what you work with. I'm sure they'll be adorable. So enjoy yourself and see you soon.